The new set is live on PB, and I hope all of you who have tried it have had a blast. I personally believe the design is there, but due to the swap of the engine, there are still lots of curbs to be ironed out. Before our VOD review today, as the meta sites are still trying to collect the data and come up with the meta, this is the best time to be cooking up and trying out different comps. I've compiled a list of about 12 comps that I'll share in the description down below, which you can look. Some of them I have inspired by what I've seen online, some of them I simply just cooked during my break in the office. All of these have a link to a tactics.tools page and some of the core items listed for the line. These lines are obviously not your standard verticals, more interesting things to try out apart from the very obvious, and obviously the balance is all subject to change very soonly. If you have any other comps that you believe are performing great and worth a try, let me know down below, and let me know how your games go with any of these comps. And now let's jump in our VOD review. For our first VOD review of set 18, we are going to be jumping in game with I'm riveting on the Silver Scrapes encounter. Starting out here with the 3 cost, and it seems the gold opener for us to be in store. Possibility to make 10, but I highly advise in PB to just simply be holding on to all the possible outs, trying to play around the strongest board and then see where that leads you. As if you are opting to make extra gold and sacking, then you want to be playing in one of the strongest lines in the game. Therefore, we are going to be playing around this Tristana, pairing it with the fairies, with the Econ, holding also onto the Kabukos, but don't seem to be having a clear direction right now for ourselves. Double Trouble and Augment that I am and we are still not really sure what could be played into. I've seen some players try Inferno, reroll around it, but probably a comp eventually will emerge. Electro Charge again for those frontline strong comps. We have 4 frontline trays this set, so there is a possibility to cook up some frontline vertical. Maybe something like Rapid Fire Vanguards could synergize well with this. Birthday Reunion, a little bit more value in PB as players are not playing the strongest boards in mid game. You definitely can get to level 9 and try to cap around those legendaries. Therefore, that would be also my default choice, as it can provide us with some direction. Solo played great on something like a Malphite, for example, this set, or in any of the reroll variants, but again, doesn't give us the direction. Woven Magic, if we had some form of a mana generating item, this would be decent. We have a Kraken Slam for right now, which is fine on this Tristana in my opinion, but we would want to be streaking and the board is not that clear on where does it lead. I'm not sure. Therefore, Backline Blueprint can provide us with that direction, so we are going to be ripping it right away. Get an Azir as well with a 3 cost right there, and can just slot immediately push the levels, slot it in and get 2 summoners as we have this upgraded Yorick with the Azir. And let's see if you're going to be slamming this Kraken. Do we have an AD Executioner? I am not too sure. Generally, we are looking at it potentially capping around, obviously, Cannon in this kind of a situation. And we're going to be opting to make 10, as the board should be sufficient right now. We have this Rakan pair to also hold on to. Immediately hit Rakan too, so the opener is looking quite good for ourselves. Speaking of Kraken, we can be playing around Mama Beak. She's one of the ones that can actually utilize this Kraken Kite well if you are able to then play around in some Rift Beast variation. All the lower cost Rift Beasts are performing well, and Rift Beast as a vertical as well, due to simply how easy it is to play. Again, once people figure out things more, and once we have more meta established through these stat sites, we will have to evaluate how these verticals are performing. Otherwise, Mama Beak can also be a decent reroll variant if you are going to go for that. But it seems that we are not going to be slamming the Kraken, as our 4-cost Executioner is that Soraka, and she wants to be playing more around AP. Scouting around the Robbie, there is some Inferno, and yeah, we're not going to be buying the Propagate Charm right here because, well, most likely a 1-cost unit is going to be dying first, and that would just simply lose us a gold. Good if you are trying to reroll, for example, a frontliner, then you can force, or especially on a lost streak, you can even force a carry to die first and then get it that way. Otherwise, allows us to make a Econ threshold. The early game charms is where you definitely have to evaluate the situation if you are going to be, if it's worth the gold investment, because 2 gold at stage 2 is not the same value as 2 gold in stage 3 or stage 4. And you definitely won't want to be ending up too poor. Going to SVR on 3-3, going to be leveling aggressively and slamming that last Whisper first instead of the Kraken. So that does signal to me that obviously we're going to be looking to play around some form of a AD variant. And yeah, obviously we can be playing around Ezreal, right? We have the Executioner of Ezreal as well in the 4-cost pool. Do not have any of the Elderwoods, but running 3 Elderwood is completely fine. It's an amazing opener to be playing due to those extra units, but later on still getting that little bit of a scaling and more frontline presence is not bad at all. Going to be unfortunately losing here to a player with a Prismatic Destiny hard bargain. If you guys have maybe seen, Prismatic Destinies currently are pulling up from all the pool as well. And yeah, again, Lesser Champion Duplicator. This is trying to, the game is trying to move us into the reroll direction. He's going to be going for sacrificing the 3 HP. It's a little bit of a value, but perhaps if you're able to tempo out an upgrade, that can help us as well. And it seems that maybe he wants to be considering loose streaking here. We have slotted in the Coven. The interesting part with Coven is that you do not need to be going for a full out lost streak like you did with last set with Adama. It's completely fine to be mixed streaking. The issue is obviously is going to be your Econ situation. If you are unable to get to the higher cash outs, the cash out is not going to be rebounding your Econ back as much that you would have had in if you were, for example, fully lost streaking. And the kills itself, right? They are not stacking up as fast. But 4 Coven we're getting, I believe, 2 now, but that 1 we're only getting 3. We're only getting 1 shard per kill, so it's going to take quite a while to stack up. But if you are able to somehow, for example, win streak and then slot it in stage 5 and then go for a large cash out, or stage 4, sorry, and go for large cash outs there, stage 5, it's completely fine. Or any other form of extra resource generation, whenever you're able to take it, is obviously great in the hands of the better of the players. This seems to be the solar reroll that we're going to be going up against. It's very hard to be playing unless you're able to secure that Rage Blade. So unless you have a Rage Blade, since the carousel is back, I would be sacking my spot at the stage 2 for just securing that Rage Blade onto the scale, as she is absolutely not a unit without it, in my opinion. Focused Fire, great essentially in your AD comms. Remember Corki, for example, from last set. And since we have that Slash Whisper, it's definitely something we could be considering. Stand United. Could be trying to cook up some kind of a board if we wanted to. Late game specialist, since we have downgraded the power of our board, and our slams at the moment, well, we could be spamming a Spirit Wizard instead of the Morello. We will want to be securing some kind of tempo to make it to that level 9, and I'm not sure if we're in spot for it. Recombobulator is an interesting choice, but we do not have that many, as we could get a 1 4-cost unit, 2 4-cost units. I don't still think it's still going to be worth as much. Stand United seems to be his default option. Corrosion, it's just a fine combat augment, nothing too spectacular. Stand United, in my opinion, if you're able to cook up some kind of board, it's quite good. And a lot of these boards into this set, whenever I was playing around in the team builder, seemed that you can be slotting in some kind of Bronze for Life setup. You can be slotting in these Stand United setups, as they are still powerful and there are lots of ways to link the trade web together quite nicely. Another Blackline Blueprint player here. No, we're looking at a different one. Yeah, the augments take a second while to load, and I believe that's the one that gives you essentially a 30% chance to receive another gray orb whenever you open up a loot orb. By the way, this synergizes with any kind of charms you have. This synergizes with the covens. And if you, for example, buy the charm that gives you lots of units, there is the one that gives you all 5 costs. You are going to be getting a lot of gray orbs, so it pays for itself, definitely in some kind of a case. So something to keep back in mind, that there is quite a lot of innate synergy with that augment right there. And he seems to be mapping out this board right here. Yeah, Malphite, playing around Soraka, Ezreal, and the Azir ties in nicely with the Executioners right there, providing also the Malphite with the Blackthorn that you can simply just sack some form of a frontliner to help your Executioner stall, or any of the weaker Executioner if you're running someone for a trade bot, just to get some attack damage on yourself. Now, for Malphite, we would definitely be looking for a potential to make the Stoneblade. Unfortunately, the chain got taken, so we can take a belt and then just have a Warmog. Warmog, Stoneblade, I believe, are 2 of the great items for him. Zyra nicely ties into providing that durability in many of these comps, especially whenever you're running some kind of a summoner. And she's generally a decent AP item holder as well, and quite flexible. Same goes for Soraka. Activating 2 Executioner in many comps is not that hard. And she is just a valuable splash due to the Florist effect she gains for herself. Still trying to figure out the board. This is sometimes you spend half the game, at least I do, whenever I'm trying to play cook something up into this team builder that we have right now. you know, everyone's trying to explore, everyone's trying to see. We are going to be continuing our lost streak right now, and then just trying to spike off on stage 4 from this Coven cash out. I would still be looking for a possibility to slot in 3 Elderwood Rat, and he seems to recognize that we can slot Hecarim, we can slot in the Sentinel. Pebbles just simply gives you the 3 Rift Beasts that you link to the 3 big Rift Beasts so that you can activate it. Sentinel providing you mana, otherwise you can go for something like a Skathull or Crab. Yeah, those are also ores that are going to be given to your board. And then, yeah, we have figured out the board. Nicely slots in with a Stand United, and as you can see, there's many links that once you get a little bit more familiar, you're going to be able to identify a lot easier, and this is why we're playing PB, right? To build these things in our memory, working on openers, working on possibilities to link the boards together, just getting familiarized ourselves with units, with their abilities, their traits, everything that synergizes in this game to be ready for the set launch. Thankfully, we get some 80 items, but we still have a couple of rods. One can, and yeah, Soraka can utilize those greatly. This is a nice thing to note about Execution. It's going to go for all upgraded 2-cost Charm. I believe, in my opinion, it's quite an expensive one unless we're trying to fish for something specific, and we have that 2-star Yunara that we could be picking up if we're playing around these Executioners already. I'm not that sure, and I believe, in my opinion, Ezreal and both Soraka definitely want some form of mana generating item, but we opted to kill that Thea right there. So how are we going to be approaching this? Is going to be quite interesting. Are we going to be actually very stable on this going into the stage? We definitely need to be. Cybernetic implants, as we could have made an IE if we wanted to. Amelie is completely fine slam, but group hug might be tough to pull off. Still otherwise a decent combat augment, but better in melee comes Earths. I don't think we have any use. Celestial Blessing, haven't seen that much use of. We're going to take Salvage Bin as it simply provides us with more items, but that gives us the third. We have the 3 items for our tank already. Could now perhaps maybe look up to break apart some of the other items. Going for our roll down, not too rich as we haven't taken a single Econ Augment. Thankfully able to hit the lots of frontliners, but we're going to be giving up on this Malphite as we believe. And I believe the Malphite to be a little bit stronger of a tank on its own than the Sentinel, and we are going to be playing. This is 6 out of 8 as we simply run out of gold. Going to be making that TG right there. We can still refinance these items if we wanted to, but it looks like we're going to be taking a loss here to the scale despite the strong presence of our frontline as they have hit the 3-star scale that now is ascending. Similar to that sorry, we were KL from what was it? Set 11, I believe. Still haven't found our Reziel utilizing our duplicator, and you can see as he's on low lives, he's also wanting to buy charms. This is another thing why I believe Econ Augments are going to be very, very strong this set is due to the fact that you, especially from a lower HP pool, you want to be fishing for those charms, ideally combat charms if you can, or any form of Econ. Anything that can essentially fill out your slot. You need an item, look for items. If you need hit some units, some Econ, extra Econ. But definitely going in stage 4 you want to be buying charms unless you are sacking, and then on stage 5 for sure you want to be looking for possibility to spike your board with those extra charms. They can make a difference in many cases. We have high rolled that Maokai early on though, so this if you're able to ever make it to the level 90, the 2-star Maokai, he would be quite strong. Nonetheless, we high rolled the cannon instead and going to be transitioning back into this 4 execution variant, slotting in a Morgana which can also tie in quite nicely, and find the item charm, but we do not have any gold to buy this. We bought the charm but didn't, I suppose, read that it takes quite a lot of gold to buy these items. Thankfully we're going to be able to clean up the Rift Beast, the Sentinel right here is going to be quite strong for our frontline presence, and the 1-star Soraka putting in a lot of work right now, working overtime for ourselves. Salvage Bin has already played its worth off. I generally prefer to be picking it on stage 2 or stage 3 for tempo purposes, but if you're in this kind of situation, and especially on PB, sometimes when you need to refinesse your board, refinesse your items, it can be quite valuable. And you just simply have to you have to watch out and not get too dizzy, right? These Salvage Bin turns are very hard, and that is why if you are given a chance, especially in PB environment, to just get familiarized with the Salvage Bin, it's one of the augments that a lot of skill expression can be shown through and can become quite strong. It seems that we have managed to nicely stabilize onto this board despite still being at 1-star carries, so I would assume that we are going to be reevaluating and re-rolling down on after this PvE round. We have that cannon already. who can put in a lot of work, but we do not have items for him either. So Golden Dupe though. Golden Dupe can allow us to maybe make some funky things happen. And now we could be also getting the sword from the Rift Beast, sorry, it's called Rift Beast, from the Sentinel right there, to improve our Ezreal item situation as we are picking up an Ezreal pair, and Ezreal 2 is coming right here. Slotting in this Executioner Gunnar, but yeah, a little too slow. And also another thing with Salvageman you have to be watching out for is your remover situation. Thankfully we have a lot of removers, and thanks to the last couple of sets a lot of the remover influx has come. Lock our shop there for Ezreal 2, and probably this turn are going to be looking to refinesse our items if we possibly can, and then we should be on a fine spot to be making our way to the next level. Double stone plate right there. He's going to be just keeping it like this. Well, we do not have 2 Inferno active either, so we are lacking anti-heal. We are lacking anti-armor as well. I would have perhaps considered making, you know, breaking apart the TG. No, the cannon TG is also fine. I just want to get 3 items on this Ezreal in some form of fashion, and I'm perhaps not too big of a not too large of a fan of having the double Giant Slayer onto the Ezreal. Another thing to note about these Executioners, whenever you're playing around double Executioner, IE and JG still seem to be performing quite well in the stats. Yeah, we're going to be going with the... this makes a little bit more sense. Having a red buff and a death blade is completely fine. But yeah, having the 2 Executioner running JG and IE seems to be performing quite decently in stats. Maybe it's just a fluke because players are still building it without realizing that you gained that precision, or similar to Akali in the last set, whenever you were running Akali, something like an Urgot or Akali herself are still going completely fine with that IE onto the board. So might be a repeat of that. It's a thing to keep one eye out for as well. We are going for the last Whisper now. That's going to sort out our anti-armor and synergize with that innate crit we have right there. Amazing pickup, and we could be considering also playing around this Ivern. Generally, you want to be trying to play around Ivern as early as you possibly can. Same goes for the Maokai right to stack. Do not seem to be opting to slot him in any form, as he does not really fit our board that well at the moment, and we have this Gnar pair that we can be capping around on. But just gaining a couple of hexes from him for your carries or your main tanks still can be quite a valuable point. Now against, we are able to get the stun onto the Kale and clean up this... well, it seems to be a Kale reroll, but... what else were they chasing? I didn't exactly catch. An interesting board, to say the least. And we are definitely bouncing back our way, trying to cap out onto the level 9, and we see that there's an Aphelios player and a Scale player. I mean, the trick with Solar is that if you get 8 to 3 stars and make it to level 8, they all are going to upgrade to 4 stars, and at that point you should be most likely winning the game. It's not a full guarantee. This Aphelios build though, with the Spear of Nashor's Tooth, is not exactly what I would be looking for. Probably this Ahri player here, who is capping around that Lunar and the Loon as well, is going to be quite strong. Well, he had 8 Aphelioses though, so even with Nashor's Tooth, the Aphelios would have done a lot. Nonetheless, we were thankfully able to take him out before they managed to hit, and are securing ourselves in a top 4. Going to be now probably pushing the level, looking for that Gnar and Cannon too. And for our last slot, we could be slotting in Inferno. The burdens are still going to be stacking nonetheless. Finding consumables simply going to give us a little bit more power into this Ezreal. And we'll find that Ivern that we're going to be slotting in. And it seems that I have yet to play around Ivern myself, and it seems that we get the hexes. No, he's just signaling where the hexes are going to be. He's planting the seeds, and when he does his casts, he's going to be slotting in his hexes. But that was the last fight for ourselves. So while I'm yapping here, we were facing actually that Aphelios tree that I thought that we were going to be missing. Nonetheless, Nashor's Tooth Aphelios is going to be cleaning up this board. This Brambleback unit is starting on the opposite side, so that is a huge advantage for them, as if he gets stuck on tanks, he seems quite useless, but if he's able to get a recess, he's going to be doing a lot. And we are on the opposite side, so we simply stand no chance against the Aphelios completely cleaning up our board, but thankfully to the HP lead we are able to secure a second place. A nicely strung together game right here, playing around these 4 executioners with the stand united, providing the extra value to these bronze traits. Identified that our early game is not going to be as strong, so going for that extra resource generation through Coven, which does not exactly require you to be constantly on a loss streak. Otherwise, a lot of information to absorb, a lot of things to talk about, but such are the first few days of PBE. Everything's fresh, everything's fun, and lots of cookery going on, with some 3-star, 4-cost, and 5-cost slipping through cracks. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new and are having a great PBE launch if you're trying it. If you're still grinding ladder on set 17, best of luck to reach whatever rank you're aiming for. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.